Hey guys, Adventure Pastor here. Not really adventuring. I'm actually up at the top of Thompson Park Hill in the city of Watertown. It's a beautiful view up here. If you ever come to Watertown, you have to come because it's kind of like going to New York City and not seeing a skyscraper or something like that, right? So we're doing this series about identity that Jesus taught in the Sermon on the Mount. And I don't know if you've ever been ghosted, but Jesus actually talks about how important follow-through really is and your word and what it weighs. So if you've ever been ghosted, it's kind of like, it's really confusing actually. You know, you have this connection with somebody and you think, hey, we're tight, or hey, we seem to really get along or really click. And so you make a plan and you're expecting to do the thing and you build your life around it that week or day, and you go, and then, you know, they don't say anything. They don't show up. They're just gone, and you can't reach them. And you're like, what did I do? Am I goofy? Do I smell bad? What's up with that? It's just confusing, and you kind of feel like garbage. And it happens all the time. Like, it's so common. We're so used to it. And because it's so common, we just find it easier and easier to do. It's like speeding on the highway. Like, who isn't speeding on the highway? So maybe they'll just be okay with it, right? So if you've been following these clips and following along with what Jesus is saying in these clips, you might really rethink your follow-through game if you hear what he has to say next. So he's on the hillside and he says, hey, you've heard it was said to the people long ago, keep your oath. A vow to the Lord must be kept. But I'm telling you, don't swear at all. Don't make a promise. Don't swear by heaven, for it's God's throne. Don't swear by the earth, for it's God's footstool. Or swear by Jerusalem, for it's the city of the great king. Don't even swear by the hair on your head, because you don't have the power to even turn a single hair on your head black or white. You can't do it. In other words, it's really dumb. Facts. It's really dumb for you to make a promise about anything, because you don't actually have control the way God could guarantee something's going to happen. You don't have that kind of power. It's foolish. Don't do it. But then he says, the next thing, he says, all you should do is simply say yes or no. Anything else comes from the evil one. In other words, don't just not make promises. Here's the really important part. He says you shouldn't even have to make promises. You should be the kind of person where your word just, it has the weight. And when people hear what you say, they say, I know, I trust that they're going to do everything in their power to come through and fulfill their word because they value me, they love me, they care. That's the kind of identity that God has for you. That's 100% you, identity unlocked. Your word should mean so much that when you speak, people say, I trust that they're going to do everything that's actually in their power. And if something happens, then it must have been out of their control. That's the kind of trail that we should be leaving behind. So naturally the question is, how's your follow-through game, right? What's it like to be on the other side of me as a person? And if we're listening to what Jesus says in the very, very first piece of the Sermon on the Mount, we should be grieving a little bit over the places where we've mistreated people and devalued people and made people question their worth in our lives. That's the first thing, right? You got to call it for what it is. Jesus is all about that. Call it for what it is. Just, go and have a quiet conversation with God someplace. Go find someplace that nobody's going to bug you. You have a few minutes to yourself and just call it for what it is. Maybe you're doing really well, but you need a little improvement. Maybe it's really bad. Maybe it's just kind of fair. And just call it for what it is. But Jesus doesn't just say grieve about things, mourn about the way things are. He also says be hungry for the good. Be hungry for the path. Be hungry for the right way. And so we grieve, but we get hungry too. And that's what Jesus calls us to do in the Sermon on the Mount. Get hungry for what is good. Get hungry for your true identity. And you'll never attain 100% your identity in this lifetime. But the hunger is what he's looking for, that authentic, genuine drive to want to be a reflection of God on the people that are around us every single day. So, if that strikes you, then I definitely think that you should do just exactly those two things. Grieve and get hungry for what God wants for your identity. Also, hey, if you want to get involved in a community of people where you can talk about these things, share about these things, tell stories, go do stuff together that influences and means something to the people around you, I really, really recommend that you get in touch with us on our website, www.accesslife.online, or get with us on socials, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever it takes, wherever you are. Hit the link tree up, get in touch with us, because we want to connect you with a real, live, digital community. Or if you're here in Watertown locally, we can set that up too. We want to see you become part of a real, authentic micro church, and we'll help you do it.